that
We're
there we
we're
go.
talking about lawn care.
Yeah, we're talking about this. Welcome to Lawn Care Radio.
Yeah, you don't want to hear handgun experts in handguns talking about home ownership
Yeah.
because guess what? We're not experts in that.
My apologies. We had a couple comments on the Facebook post with the link to the show that were very humorous. So thank you for those. Yeah, Weird and I were just discussing lawn care and how we do it here in Maine.
Specifically hawthorn trees and how they're rat bastards.
Yeah. Does anybody have any suggestions on how to? Well, actually, I'll ask about that. I'll ask about that in my week in review because that's going to be hell. So maybe there's some like special way that someone has apart from like wearing a bomb disposal suit and doing it to not get stabbed in the face with these things. But all right. Hello and welcome to Handgun Radio. I'm your host, Ryan Machad from the wild woods of central Maine, and this is your home for all the news, information, and discussion in the handgunning world. This week, we talk about handguns for non-gun people. So as always, Handgun Radio is brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network, and please check out the Patriot Patch Company for their awesome patches and other high-quality items. Visit patriotpatch.co for more information. They have these really awesome proof rendition, artist proof rendition things, postcards, coming with the latest patch of the month patches. The last one I got was the back-to-back World War champs and had a picture of a Thompson and a few other things on it. It was really cool. And as always, shop Amazon using our affiliate link, firearmsradio.tv/Amazon. And please help support Handgun Radio. Head over to firearmsradio.tv/pledge and click on HGR. There are a bunch of different pledge levels, and we really appreciate it. So, Weird, welcome back.
Oh, well, hello, Ryan. How you doing?
Oh, not bad. I'm as you can probably tell, I'm a little hoarse. I had to play Friday night and Saturday night, so my voice is a little shot. So my apologies in advance.
Your tone is husky and rich.
Yes, exactly. Dulcet tones. So what did you do this week?
I didn't do a whole lot. Running along. Got some family staying with us right now, and just getting the house back together. Spring has sprung, yard care.
I actually just put together we had a fire ring out back, but I had a relative had a bunch of big stones that I could put out back, so I wrapped the whole thing in that. So it's a little bit safer having the kids out back there with it, like some space, because Connor was running around and I was afraid he was going to fall into it. So.
Yeah, my parents have one of those little metal brazier sort of ones, fire pits, and they they try to entice my daughter to roast marshmallows, and really she'll just eat marshmallows straight from the bag. She's fine, thanks.
So I did also though. Manuel asked about he posted something about the bug assault. It's been a while since you talked about that, and for people who haven't listen to the back catalog may not know about your experience with it. So you want to talk a little bit about it real quick?
Oh yeah. That is actually one thing I did do this week. I forget, I broke out the bug assault for the first time because now there's suddenly flies around because we're going to have like 2.5 weeks of spring before it goes right to summer. Though today was pretty like muggy and crappy. So, so summer might be here already, but yeah. So bug assault, it's made by, I forget the name of the company. But they sell them on Amazon, Bug Assault, and it is essentially a spring-powered pneumatic shotgun that fires table salt, and it fires just a little small pinch of salt. It's not a whole lot, but it sends it going at a pretty good rate. And there was a first generation one which would kill flies, but was not as effective. The newer one has a slightly tighter choke and a much more powerful spring. And let me tell you, it kills flies graveyard dead from about 3 to 4 feet distance. And you can also shoot wasps and other household pests around the house. Or like I said, it's just a little pinch of salt. So unless you're just going completely John Rambo, it's, you're not going to be making a mess inside your house with like piles of salt everywhere. But yeah, it's just kind of fun.
It's also great for seasoning your food from across the room.
Yes, though I don't Yeah, I mean, yes, you could. You could load it up with. I use kosher salt for seasoning my food, but it will shoot kosher salt. I don't like the ballistics of kosher salt as much as I like the taste.
So should we get some ballistics gel and do some testing between regular table salt, kosher salt, sea salt, and a few other things?
That'd be. We should totally do that. And play it completely serious.
Make a ballistics gel fly.
Yeah, I'll see if I can get you a lab coat.
Oh, jeez. So also, well, this is my week in review. There was a posting in the Handgun Radio discussion group from a listener who was talking about his revolver, his Smith & Wesson revolver. I think it was 637, the quote unquote hammerless one.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't tell from the video what which model it is.
Well, anyway, it was sparking.
Mm-hmm.
I had never seen this. TJ commented and he said I had talked about it. I had never seen that before in my life.
Yeah, I'd never seen it. I'd never heard of it.
So I asked Daniel Waters commented and said it was the titanium firing pin. So I asked him specifically what the deal was, and what he wrote was some metals just spark more than others on impact or under friction. If I understand correctly, these metals have typically formed a passivated oxide layer over their surface. However, when friction or impact break off tiny fragments of the metal can ignite from the combination of heat and sudden exposure of the non-passivated surface to oxygen. Weird. Please explain that to me.
Yeah, so essentially, if you've ever like cut into like a piece of aluminum, you'll see that like it is like bright and shiny. It's like a piece of silver. And yet, like when you look at like, the piece of aluminum before you cut it, it's kind of a dull gray color. That dull gray color is aluminum oxide. And unlike iron oxide, which is rust, which is, flakes off and loosens and causes a lot of problems. Aluminum oxide, the same thing with copper oxide, which is the green coat with the green color of the Statue of Liberty and other statues like that have green, or bronze statues that sometimes have like a blackish color to them. The oxide actually forms a protective layer. The oxide's actually quite strong. And so it forms like a protective coating. Rust bluing is a very, very similar process. But as soon as that scrapes off, and again, if you did your chop saw through your piece of aluminum, you got that bright shiny bit, within a few hours, it's going to be dull gray again because it's going to react. That's essentially what's happening. Is the firing pin is causing friction, which is heating up the little teeny tiny piece. And because the tiny pieces of metal are so small, it doesn't take much friction to heat them up really glowing hot, and add in the added heat from them reacting with the oxygen in the air will cause them to turn into a bright, super hot spark. And those sparks are insanely hot, but really I don't know if they're how big they are, if they're like a couple molecules or more than that, but they're little teeny tiny things. So they're not going to really burn you.
So Daniel just wrote in the comments section, just don't load your bug assault with bath salts. You don't want face-eating zombie flies.
Oh, bath salts.
Oh, thank you, Daniel. And also, speaking of Daniel, we are going to be having a really great episode coming up soon. I'm not sure when we're going to record it, but it's going to be Magmatics. He's already come up with the title.
I love it.
So we'll be talking about Magnum automatics. I'm sure the LAR Grizzly, the Automag,
Wildy,
sure Wildy,
or
Wildy.
Well, except for like the guy who runs Wildy Firearms has a YouTube channel and he says his name. It's Wildy.
We'll talk about that one. What was that one? Oh yeah, the Desert Eagle.
Oh yeah, the Desert Eagle, like the most famous. We should talk about the Mars. We got to talk about the Mars.
I've actually held the Mars, which is cool. And then the Kunin.
Of course, the Kunin.
Yes. So yeah, that'll be a great episode. Looking forward to doing that one. And then we have an email from William. Just started listening to the show and I love it. Working my way through your back shows from the beginning. I was excited to hear about the $179 deal for a black powder gun kit on Brownells, but I'm assuming that deal is long gone. I don't even remember it, so it probably is. Most of their black powder guns are out of stock now. I have not looked into that though. But I do know I ordered my black powder gun from Cabela's, and it was a pretty decent deal. I think I remember paying right around 179, 100 and maybe $190 total. And it came with the full kit. Now you bought yours private sale, so
Yes.
you didn't have like the kit. Did you have to buy the other stuff, or did it come with it all?
No, I had to buy the other stuff. So yeah, I didn't have like the measure or yeah, it had a few. The seller gave me a few things. So, okay. But yeah, no, I bought a bunch of the stuff and then broke it.
Okay, so well, most of the stuff on yeah, wow. Most of the like revolvers on Brownells look to be out of stock. That's interesting. Every single one of them, but everything else that isn't a revolver is in stock. Cabela's does have the black powder revolvers. Mine, I was really happy with. It was the 1851 Navy, but in 44 caliber as opposed to like 36. Let's see here. So the one that I got was right now is listed on Cabela's at $199. You can get like a Remington New Army copy by Pieta for $269. I mean, and that's a really nice looking gun too. A Colt Walker, which is what you have, weird, $449.
What about, do they have a Dragoon?
Let's see.
I would argue that the Walker is a, granted, I've never gotten around to shooting mine.
1860 Army is that, or is that a Dragoon? I don't know. I don't know my.
I don't know them that well either. But either way, is the one thing that I always see consistent with the Walkers is the loading lever is going to go down every time you pull the trigger. So, and the Dragoon had the improved latch on the loading lever. Didn't quite have the powder capacity, which is kind of neat, and it isn't as like ridiculously huge as the Walker, which are both really, really cool.
Oh, they do have a nice, I didn't know Pieta made this, a model 1851 Navy. They call it the Yank Pepper Box. It's basically a 1851 Navy with the cylinder lengthened to maybe like 2.5 inches. And it's a pepper box for $219. That would be interesting.
I'm looking this up.
Pieta Yank. It looks pretty cool. I actually wouldn't mind.
Wow. Yeah,
I would love to see this thing fired in slow motion.
Well, there's a YouTube video.
Oh boy.
Let's see. Yeah, Pieta Pepper Box, and the dude's shooting it off his back deck. I don't know if he's got. I gotta scroll back to see it. Nope, he's got it already loaded up, so I don't see what he's putting into it. Oh, he's just shooting caps.
It's really interesting. I would like to see. Yeah, I'd like to get my hands on one.
Oh no, he's not. He's got at least live charges in it. I don't know if he's got a. I'm not seeing any dirt flying, but that's because all I'm seeing is black powder whenever it goes off.
We'll throw a link in the show notes.
That's a crazy looking gun.
We made everybody want to go buy them because they can be delivered right to your door.
They sure can.
So what's your drink segment this week?
So I thought I'd want to talk about, well, first up, I got to say, like, oh my God, like, I can't believe like people are finally listening. Sometimes I wonder when I do this drink segment is,
the thread earlier in the group,
am I just talking to myself? Because again, like, I know there's very few people out there that are as, cocktail crazy as me and like I've got a fistful of friends, you being one of them, where I can mix up like an adventuresome cocktail and put it in front of you, and you at least enjoy it. Versus some people going, whoa, whoa, oh my goodness, this is really strong. Can you put some peach margarita mix in this? Uh, but like the number of people that have been so excited and been trying out the aviation, I'm just so pleased about that, because again, it's both a really, really fancy, really, really high end cocktail. It's not like a super duper simple gimme type cocktail, but at the same time super approachable. Like you can find this at most grocery stores. And actually TJ was mentioning that there's been a boom in the sales of oh,
Luxardo?
yeah, not the Luxardo, but the Chambord.
Oh,
Because he was like, there was one bottle at my grocery store and it was covered in dust.
well, he was. What was it? He said like, "Oh, it cost me like $70 or something," and we were like, "Holy hell!" Like that's
Yeah, liquor prices are different in different parts of the country. I know a friend of mine moved down to North Carolina, and he was showing me his liquor prices, and I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me?
well. I mean, I'm always surprised every time I go into Massachusetts and I have to go to a package store if I want to get anything.
Oh, so miserable. Yeah. Like, yeah, you want to buy, the worst part is like when it's like, no, I'm not even like going to drink. Like I bought myself a steak. I want to braise it in some beer, and I need to go to a separate store to buy beer. Well, now I could go to a separate store that's in the lobby of my grocery store. So,
When in Maine, you can go to your gas station and it's a full service liquor store.
and they have an FFL. Uh,
Ugh.
but yeah, so I wanted to talk about when I made my trip to the desert Southwest. My wife read about this little distillery. So, do you want to go on a distillery tour while we're driving from the Grand Canyon to Las Vegas, which is like 6 hours, I think it was. I don't know how long a drive it was, but it was just desert roads forever. But we stopped in Kingman, Arizona at the Desert Diamond Distillery, also known as D3. And oh my God, like if you are anywhere near Kingman, Arizona, or get yourself anywhere near Kingman, Arizona, stop by and check this place out. So we got in there at like, I think it was like 10 o'clock in the morning. And so we were like, I was looked at the parking lot. I said, I think the only people in here are the employees. And we were correct. But a few other people came in and joined us, and we went on their distillery tour. And one of the first things the owner / master distiller said was, I only make rum here. And I went, oh, I mean, that's cool, but I was hoping to, see a little bit more of a depth. He is one of the smartest people in the industry like I have ever met. Oh my goodness. Like he does rum, but he does not want to compete with the other rum makers. He does not do Caribbean style rum. So the short answer is he distills all his rum from molasses. He then uses a column still to distill it, which I honestly don't know the difference between a column still and a pot still. I know that column still, you have a little bit more control to make higher proof alcohol from it. But other than that, I don't know how you get the differences in the characteristics and how much easier it is to separate the heads and the tails from it. But he uses a column still, and then from there he's got his white rum. He also makes a vodka, and I almost want to put quotes on it. It's called a vodka because he distills it up to 190 proof, and once you get up that high, you can only sell it as vodka. But that vodka is one of the tastiest rums like I've ever had, like tastiest white rums I've ever had. He bottles it at 80 proof, so it's not a super high test rum. It's not an overproof rum, but it tastes like an overproof rum. But then after that, he takes them and he actually ages them like bourbon. So the drink that I'm drinking right now is their 5 year uh, aged rum, and I was like sitting there like trying their rum, like, oh, that's good, that's interesting, that's they're all good stuff, but they're also all different. Like the white rum, very very good, but it kind of was a turnoff to me because it was just drastically different from any other white rum that I'd had. Still very much rum, but the notes were different. So if you're looking for something different too, this is a good place to go. Um, but the barrel aged stuff, it is rum, very clearly rum, but it has a lot of notes of different whiskeys like bourbon, or this 5 year one I really think has got like a lot of characteristics of a rye. It's got a very dry spicy start, and then it finishes like an aged rum. Very very good. I was actually so it had such whiskey characteristics. I actually did a little mixing with it where I used my little small flight glasses and I made up a daiquiri, a whiskey sour, and a Manhattan, all with this stuff. And much to my surprise, as whiskey like as it tasted, it does not make a whiskey sour. Like the whiskey sour was awful. It did not work out well at all. A a rum Manhattan with a very good aged rum is not a bad drink at all, I must say. And but this makes a absolutely beautiful daiquiri. So it's good for mixing, but I am drinking it just out of a snifter because I wanted to talk about the tasting notes of it and not be distracted by all the other ingredients. But it is really, really good stuff. That's the Desert Diamond Distillery in Kingman, Arizona. I cannot recommend it more. As a matter of fact, like we went to the Grand Canyon and we went to Las Vegas, and both my wife, who actually didn't drink anything there because we were out in the hot desert, she's like, no, I'm a lightweight. That's not a good idea. Uh, and we were both like, this is like the high point of our vacation. So yeah, I highly recommend it.
I hope they're listeners, or if not, I hope someone tells them.
I hope somebody tells them. Yeah, that would be great.
Imagine if a case of it shows up on your doorstep.
Um, I'm sure that's illegal in Massachusetts, but
Probably everything's illegal in Massachusetts.
But wouldn't that wouldn't that be great?
All right, so with that, we'll head into the main topic: handguns for non-gun people. Now, before I get any emails, we're not trying to be derogatory towards people, because I'm sure that someone will email me about it. When we say non-gun people, we mean people who are not shooters, people who don't go out every weekend to shoot, people who are not reloaders, people who go to the gun shop to buy a gun for a specific purpose, self-defense or whatever.
Yeah. People who are not picking up their latest copy of Guns and Ammo and reading it cover to cover, and are caring about the different nuances between the new Model 19 and the old Model 19.
As much as we want, and as much as we want to see people who are buying firearms go buy them, get some sort of training, and be proficient with their firearm, there is a good portion of the firearm buying public that doesn't do that, and we're not ever going to change that. It's been that way for years. I mean, we can try, but there's always going to be those few people.
And also, to be fair, there's sometimes stuff that goes in what you might say that the wrong order of operations of
right.
I mean, like, I know, unfortunately, so many people that have become gun people because they've been assaulted, because they have been attacked. They have had to get law enforcement involved because someone took advantage of them. And after the smoke cleared and it turned out they were okay, they said, I don't want this to happen to me ever again. And they went and got a gun. They went and got their concealed carry permit. Same thing goes is there a lot of people who get themselves a gun and don't train, and later on realize, you know what, maybe I should take a class, maybe I should do a little bit of training. So just because they aren't now doesn't mean aren't now proficient gunnies, doesn't mean it might not change.
Right.
But this is, as I say to people, my first handgun was a 1911. I was in love with 1911s. I wanted a 1911, and when I finally was going to buy myself a handgun, I went out and bought myself a damn 1911. And anybody who has that, like if someone's first gun is a Desert Eagle, God bless them, because guess what? That's if you are so in love with a gun that you are that's like that is the gun that you're going to buy. That's a gun that you're going to shoot a lot because you're in love with it. And I shot them like my 5-inch stainless steel 1911. I have put like over 10,000 rounds through that gun because it was my only handgun for the longest time, and it is one of my favorite handguns. So there's that. Meanwhile, on the other side of it, you've got the person of the, hey Ryan, you like guns, you spend a lot of time shooting. What gun should I want to get a gun? What gun should I buy? Like,
Glock 19.
yeah, such an open-ended question. That's saying I really don't care about the nuance. I just want to make sure that I buy a good one, not a bad one.
I
So
mean,
yeah.
there's so many different choices, and that's the thing. I mean, we've talked ad nauseum about the whole uh, woman going into a gun shop and getting handed a J frame because it's a quote unquote ladies gun. I mean, maybe now that would apply to also something like the LCR, or well, actually not so much the LCR, maybe, but like an LCP or something.
Yeah.
That's not a gun for a novice.
No.
That's a gun to really be effective with. You've really got to practice with it. And the thing is, I mean, even for me, they're kind of snappy. It's
Yeah,
kind of a pain to
that
practice
is a
with.
gun that if you don't know what you're doing or you're not proficient, you don't have a really good grip on that gun, it is going to be unbelievably unpleasant to shoot. And hey, guess what? If you go to the gun range and it hurts, guess what? You're not a gun nut. You're not going to be the type of person that, oh, I love all the James Bond movies. I would go out and buy a PPK, and then the first time I go there, the slide bites the crap out of my hand. But hey, guess what? I still love the PPK. I'm still going to shoot it. No, no, no. If you just pick up, is oh, I don't know anything about guns, but you know what? I want to get my carry permit. Oh, somebody, my grandfather had a PPK, and it's been sitting in my sock drawer forever. This might as well be my carry gun. And the first thing that happens is your hands bleeding. You're just going to take it to the gun shop and sell it.
The person who gets sold like a 357 Magnum airweight and takes it out for the first time and
Oh,
touches off a round of 357 out of the thing. They're not going to carry. Well, they'll probably carry it, but I mean, they're not going to be proficient with it.
they're not going to carry it. They're going to carry the serial number of the gun in their forehead.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there are a lot of guns out there, but there's very few
And
that are.
there's a lot of gun. There are a lot of guns that are just crappy, guns for someone that's not going to be in love with 1911s. They're terrible guns for beginners. They're fussy. They're finicky. They're not designed the same way like a modern polymer striker fired gun is going to be designed. They're single action only. They've got a very, very light, crisp trigger, which is great if that's what if that's the kind of shooting you're doing, but not if you're someone who maybe won't have the greatest trigger discipline.
And that's Weirdbeard at weirdworld.com.
Yeah, it is not a gun for a novice. It is 1911s are guns for people who love 1911s. These are all guns for people who are not are not necessarily going to be in love with this gun or in love with this brand.
So we talked last show about the Smith & Wesson M&P Shield EZ, the 380. I mean, we can kind of rehash it a little bit here. It has a grip safety done right.
Mm-hmm.
I hate grip safeties, but this one is actually not terrible. It pivots at the bottom, so there's really, if you have a proper grip on the gun, there's no way that you're not going to depress it. You can get the gun with a manual thumb safety or not, which is a welcome option.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with it. I would agree with most that I don't think it is necessary for the function of the gun. Hence the reason why Smith & Wesson ships some without them. But at the same time, if that's something that is of interest to you, or I mean, there's a lot of things I was saying about like when people were talking about the what's the XD with the hammer on it?
Oh, the XD. What the hell is the name? E?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, XDE. or whatever.
Next
But
data.
one of the one I'm sitting there looking at it going, oh my god, everybody is like. Meanwhile, at the same show, like
XDE.
yeah, the H&K showing off their VP9 and Sig Sauer showing off the P320. So companies that have made guns with external safeties and exposed hammers are now going striker fired, no external safety. Like
Well,
okay, and
this
then
one's
and then
hammer
and
fired,
then
isn't it?
and then suddenly Springfield goes and takes their striker fired gun that has no external safety and puts an external safety and a hammer on it. But then someone said this is for the appendix carry market. Like, yeah, if you're appendix carrying, having a gun that has a manual safety on it might not be a bad idea, because when you're reholstering with appendix carries, there's a little bit more risk than if you're carrying it, at 3 o'clock or further back. Um, there's a little bit more risk because the gun might be pointed, either at your genitalia or at your leg. And so the idea of having an extra safety device in there so that if something got caught on the trigger while you're reholstering, it's not going to touch off a round.
Yeah, it's realistically it's a Colt 1908 for the modern day.
That is the easiest, really much the Colt 1908. But unlike the Colt 1908, it's polymer frames so that it's going to have some of that recoil absorption, and it's going to be lighter, and it's locked. It's a locked breech design, so it has a very, very light recoil spring on it,
And better sights.
and way better sights, and an easier to load magazine. The list just goes on. Like, oh my god, like how to make a pistol insanely easy to use and figure out.
And the other thing is, we don't want to fail to mention this. It has those little wings on the back end of the slide.
Yeah, so you can get a little extra purchase just in case you need all the grip you've got to pull back that light slide.
It's not readily apparent in most of the photos you'll see of it, but
Yeah, well, it's not like the VP9. It's not
Yeah.
those huge. Like I was handling the gun and I didn't notice it.
so I'll let you take this one, the Ruger LCR or full-size steel-framed revolver.
Yes. So we were just talking about the hand the little lady a revolver because it's a simpler gun. Yeah, that actually there is some truth in that. It's not always true, and it's not always the best choice. And again, none of these are the best choice. They are just a choice. But a lot of people really, really like revolvers for the simplicity of the manual of arms. You open the cylinder, either you push a button, you pull a latch, you push a latch, and then you open up the cylinder, you push the ejector, the old shells come out, you put the new shells in, you close it up, you are ready to go. Maybe there's a hammer, maybe there's not, or exposed hammer. But the idea, like my wife is a revolver shooter, and my wife, when she's shooting semi-autos, like so frequently will stuff a loaded magazine into the gun and then pull the trigger and go, why didn't it go off? Why didn't it work? I'm like, you didn't load it. You loaded the magazine. You didn't load the gun. There's just certain intuitive things. Also, revolvers, as a general rule, don't have manual safeties, and they've got that nice long double action trigger pull when it comes to a double action revolver. And so I would say within those, the guns you want to look for is a full size steel frame revolver. So something that's K frame or larger, just because it's going to give you more gun to hang on to. And of those, I would argue the best ones is to get something at 357 Magnum, but tell the person to load them up with 38s. Maybe they'll eventually graduate to 357, but 38s out of a 357 Magnum revolver is I've had people have that be their first shots with a center fire gun, and I could make it absolutely. I could teach somebody, say with my my Colt Trooper or a Smith & Wesson 686 or a Ruger GP 100, loaded up with 38s. That is a very, very reasonable gun to shoot. And I would also say, if they're looking for something concealed carry, Ruger LCR, I would even say the 357, but again, loaded up with 38s, One, again, you've got the room to grow. If they really want to like eventually load them up with 357s, do it. It's also a couple ounces heavier, so you've got a little bit more recoil reduction in the LCR 357, and it costs the same as the 38.
We've also talked before about how if you have someone who is extremely recoil sensitive, an LCR and 22 long rifle or 22 Magnum is nothing to is no slouch. I
Oh,
mean,
no slouch. That's also I guess I didn't mention that is, yeah, 38's kind of the way to go as far as like most common revolver round. But if a 38 is a little too heavy, absolutely 22 long rifle or a 22 Magnum. They're a 22 Magnum's a great round.
if
Like,
there's someone who is not going to shoot and you just cannot, they're not just, I'm going to buy the gun and that's it. I'm not going to practice with it. I'm sensitive to recoil. If they can shoot that 22 long rifle and put those rounds where they need to be in short order, that's going to be a whole hell of a lot better, in my opinion, than a larger caliber that they're not going to be able to hit anything with.
yeah, same idea with just the, you also remember defensive shootings. 90% of them, no shots are fired. So guess what? The trick is have a gun.
But I mean, like you said, 22 and there are a lot of great defensive loads out there now for the 22 Magnum. I think they make gold dots now too.
Oh yeah, I mean 22 Magnum is no slouch. Like, it's, we could debate on, is it the round I would carry? No.
No,
But
and it's kind of a pain to go get practice ammo because they really don't make any.
yeah, but at the same time, would I send 22 Magnum downrange if my life depended on it? Absolutely. I mean, it's not a terrible choice.
So the Glock 17, 19, or the Smith & Wesson M&P 99C. And actually, Smith & Wesson, I saw an ad. They just came out with a new compact M&P model.
Did they?
Yeah. I think the M&P 2.0 compact.
Well, are we talking about the Glock 19 sized M&P? Because they've originally they had the they had the M&P 9 and the M&P 9C. And the 9C was something in between. If you want to use Glocks, the M&P 9 is roughly the size of a Glock 17.
This is the M&P 9 2.0 3.6 inch compact.
Okay. That's a slightly longer barrel.
I'll put it in the show notes here so you can check it out. It actually looks pretty nice. I saw an article on it. I don't remember where I saw it, but yeah, let's see here. You still have the different interchangeable back straps.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, magazine capacity.
Aggressive texture.
15 plus 1.
Yeah, so it's roughly Glock 19 size.
Yeah.
But it is it's the trigger is much improved from the original M&Ps. Still not great. I'm still not a huge fan, but again, it's a serviceable trigger.
No, and that's why we have Apex's website.
Yeah, but I would say someone who is not going to be logging a whole lot of trigger time with it, they're not going to be able to tell the difference. It's not bad enough that it's going to be putting all their shots in the dirt.
But it's another good option that just came out.
Yeah, I'm almost reluctant to throw the VP9 in there. I would say for someone who is a little bit more of discerning tastes, the VP9 might be worth them handling, because again, the Glocks have garbage sights. The sights need to be replaced on them. The M&P has a trigger that is much to be desired. The VP9 it comes right out of the box. You're ready to go. So,
well, and go ahead.
So I just say I always throw the VP9 in there now. Originally, I was much a hater on H&Ks, because I just felt that they were comparable to their competition, but not in price. They were far more expensive. But when you realize that you're going to have to blow about $100 extra on top of your Glock, or your M&P, but not when you're with your VP9, then, and on top of that, like how customizable the grip is in the VP9, because the Glocks and the M&Ps both have removable back straps. The VP9 has removable back straps, and you can take off the side panels on the grips. And so you could do like all sorts of crazy customization onto the onto your H&K as far as grip customizability. So there, it certainly is value added. So the extra price that the H&K commands isn't unreasonable.
And people probably wonder maybe why we haven't really included SIG on here. I don't have any hands-on experience with some of the newer SIGs. The older DASA SIGs, everybody knows that I like them, but we're talking about guns that are probably like the best choice for people who aren't really shooters. And the DASA system, I mean, it takes more practice than a striker fired system.
It does. It takes a lot. It takes a lot more practice. You can get yourself in a lot more trouble with a double action, single action.
Not that they're bad, but you just have to work with. You have to learn to work with them.
Yeah, there's nothing bad about it, but it's you just need to be extra proficient in it, and that is beyond that. Yeah, I don't know about the 320. I mean, they're not. We don't have them here in mass, so I haven't really kicked a whole lot of tires. What is the price? What's a 320 coming out in the street these days?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't really seen many of them in the shop, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I say they're perfectly fine guns. I don't know how they price compare to the M&P and the Glocks. If they're on the same page as the M&P and Glocks, sure, throw them in there.
I mean, they're up at 679 MSRP, 579. I think the cheapest is 597 MSRP.
Okay.
So they're a little bit higher, but not by much. And then that's not street price either. So
yeah, so whatever, they're worth a look at. They're perfectly acceptable guns.
So the Ruger Security 9, that was one we touched on last episode, but you just want to touch on that briefly?
Yeah, there's a part of me that's kind of like, maybe this isn't because I'd be worried about someone who wants to use that thumb safety. It's so dodgy to put on, which I think is a great feature to have, except for I'm worried that someone might not have the best muzzle discipline if they're not going to log in the serious time with that. But again, it's super affordable. It's a super good gun. All accessories are already available for it. What else can I say about it?
Man, I'm looking at it, and this thing, I really want to get my hands on one of these.
Yeah.
This thing looks like a home run.
Yeah, not only get your hands on it, just buy it.
Well,
see it in the shop and just say, screw it, I'll take it.
It looks like remember that gun they used to make, the SR9? I don't think they make it anymore.
They may, but I don't know that. No, actually, I didn't see any at the show.
But it looks like they used some of that and some of the LCP2 like design influence on the gun and just scaled it up.
That's kind of what it is. It's kind of a combination of the two. And the fact that it's got the same high hammer fired system as the LCP 2.0 or whatever they're called, the second gen LCP. And then it's very much off of the SR9 series.
So finally, before we wrap up, I'll talk about mine after. I'll let you start with the Beretta 21A, but we're talking about the tip-up barrel guns, which we've talked about quite a bit before.
By the way, I just went on Bud's Guns and found Ruger Security 9s listed as at about $300. $300 in that new. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's a hell of a price.
Mm-hmm. So
the Beretta 21A, single action, right? Wait a minute. No.
21A is double action, single action.
What were the early ones that were single action from Beretta?
Oh, I forgot the Jetfire. I forget the actual name of it, but of course, mine's the Tomcat, but or Bobcat, excuse me, the Bobcat and the Jetfire. I forget what the Jetfire's actual name was. I can look it up.
Isn't it 950? I think We're at a
950.
950.
950. Yes. Yeah, that would be in there as well. The only my only complaint on it was I think they only made it in 25 and 22 short. And both of that's both of those are not ammo you're going to find at Walmart.
I don't know. I'm weird. I still really want to just go buy a 25 just to have one.
I mean, they're cool, but they suck to shoot because it's half the size of 45, but the same price.
I have a reloading book from Patrick Sweeney where he has a whole chapter on reloading 25.
Oh, I've read Chuck Hawks has an article on reloading 25.
He says when you go back to 9mm, you'll feel like you're putting 55-gallon drums on the press.
I think I'm trying to remember if he used the term building a ship in a bottle, but that was I think that the Chuck Hawks article on reloading 25 is quite hilarious. Like I wouldn't do it.
So your Beretta 21.
Would you load 25?
I loaded 32 once. No.
Yeah, and that taught you a lesson.
Yeah, that taught me a lesson. No. I could not get like the powder. Oh my! I was so scared because like the powder charge was so small. I'm like, I'm really hoping that's accurate.
But yeah, what you want? I mean, I put both of these guns in there just for that simplified manual of arms. Is again, you load up the magazine and stuff it in the gun, and tip up the barrel, and you tip up the barrel and drop another round in the chamber, and then close it up. And then on top of that, like the key thing to teach anybody with these guns is you can, when you push that button and flip up the barrel, the gun is safe. Like it is safe. So like when I'm putting the hammer down on, if I need to put my hammer down on my 21A, I'm dropping the hammer not on an empty chamber, but on a chamber that's sticking up in the air, like away from the breech face.
Right. Yeah. You got the slides down there and the barrel's like completely away from it.
Yeah.
So
the only thing you can't do to that gun with the barrel tipped up is rack the slide, because that's how you take it apart.
Yeah, I did that once when I bought my Taurus.
Yeah, it'll come apart on you.
It did come apart on me.
Yeah, but they come back together easy. Oh, they also the fact that it doesn't have a conventional recoil spring. It's got those
it's down in the grips.
Yeah, those leaf springs under the grips. So it just makes them they're really, really like elegant, simple guns.
And they work. You when I bought that Taurus, number one, it was a Taurus. But again, we are not gun snobs because I've carried this thing before. I am that confident in it. I've probably got 1,200 rounds through this gun.
Mm-hmm.
And I've maybe had 3 or 4 malfunctions total, maybe 5. And mainly that was from when the gun was super dirty. The ejection, because it doesn't have an extractor on it. So it's just utilizing the gases, blowing that case out. And I got stovepipes. But that was after the gun was so dirty that I just had to pull it apart and soak some of the pieces in it to get some of the carbon fouling off of it.
Yeah, they are definitely, because it is like direct blowback on how that gun works. Like it is literally the gas pressure is just blasting that spent case out of the chamber. And they go literally anywhere. Like you do a mag dump with one of these guns, it just spits them everywhere. It's like you're making it rain.
I've posted slow motion video of the guns working, me shooting it, and the slide velocity, the speed which it cycles is so fast compared to most other guns. And I just because those springs are pretty stiff. That's the reason they have that tip up barrel, because it's really kind of a pain to rack it.
Yep. And you never, ever have to, except to clear malfunctions.
I'd like to see the springs on the larger one. What was it? The 86.
Oh yeah. The when you talk about the 380 or the
380 or the Cheetah, was it? Or which one was there a larger tip up?
So Beretta made and again, I don't remember the exact names of it. I don't know if they still make. I wanted to go by the Beretta booth, but I didn't get a chance to at the NRA show this year. Just to check to see if they still make the little 32. I think they call it the 3032. I think
so. The 86 was the tip up 380.
Yeah,
model 86.
but they made that 86 in both in both tip up and non-tip up, and the tip up one was not made for very long, but yeah, it was considerably larger. 3032 Tomcat.
The 3032 is actually a friend of mine has one, and looking at it's significantly larger than the 22 ply that I have.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, like it's thicker, it's really a bigger gun. Like I held it, I'm like, man, I didn't realize actually how large this was.
I've only handled a few of them.
The slide is quite a bit thicker.
Yeah. Oh, that's and now I'm looking at the pictures of it on Beretta's website, and yeah, it definitely looks like it's a way beefier slide.
I wish there was like a top-down view. Yeah, here we go. I'll send it to you in the show notes here. But yeah, it's quite a bit beefier if you go through the guy's gallery there. But they are a nice gun. I mean, I've had nothing but great luck with the Taurus, and it is the one Taurus that I'll recommend. I actually heard about this gun from Average Joe on the Gun Nation podcast. He talked about how great it was and how accurate it was.
Mm-hmm. And they got good sights too. They've got pocket gun sights, but man, they're I'm actually looking at this 3032, and it looks like it's actually got drift adjustable rear sights, which is something that mine doesn't have.
Excellent. So I think we've covered a few guns that would be appropriate for people who are non-gun people. So with that, we'll head into the wrap-up section and close out the show. Don't forget to shop Brownells using our affiliate link. Head to firearmsradio.tv and click the affiliate link in the upper right-hand corner. Be sure to go like Handgun Radio on Facebook and share it with your friends, and leave us a review on iTunes. And also join the Handgun Radio discussion group. Listen to all the great shows on the Firearms Radio Network, and be sure to check out the Firearms Radio Network on YouTube. And Weird, as always, thank you for coming on the show.
Well, thank you for having me. I love it.
And where can people find you?
You can find me at my blog, which is weirdworld.com. And you can also find me on my podcast, the Assorted Calibers podcast. Please come on over and listen.
And be sure to check that out. There will be links in the show notes. Actually, add those, Weird, because I don't think we've had those. So make sure they're in there so people can go see the show. And also, hey, we meant to talk about this. Hawthorn trees. Hawthorn bush. Anybody who knows how I can kill this thing without getting myself stabbed to death by the thorns, please send me an email, handgunradio@gmail.com, because I'm not looking forward to trying to take this tree down.
I had to drive a buddy of mine to the hospital when he got one through his foot.
Yeah. I don't want one through my eye. I don't want a jaunty eye patch. So please, if you have any suggestions, any landscapers who are Handgun Radio listeners who might have some suggestions as to how I can do this with a minimum of injury, please email me. So until next week, have fun and safe shooting.